Game 3, everyone was making a big deal of the Buffalo Sabres crowd. Well, guess what? Even in the regular season, it feels like postseason here at the Garden sometimes, and it goes up a ton of notches. The fans are ready to bring this back on home ice, where they had a fantastic second best in the league home record. And we're looking at Causeway. Beautiful day outside today. Perfect day for some spring hockey. I always rush this part. I'm not. I'm going to be quiet and let the outfits speak for themselves. Sometimes we don't get to see everyone, but that's a beauty. I miss Pasta's suit. He goes casual way too much for my liking. Nikita Zadorov coming in with the indoor sunglasses. I don't know why people do that, but that's a thing. Okay, a little spring casual. He still looks chic, though.
But a lot of them coming in, this is a business.
Morgan.
Oh, well, that's Geek's business.
That is. Farmer.
He's going to a meeting.
Yeah, Farmer Geeky. Okay, let's see.
A lot of them back to suits. A lot of them. I love it.
Yeah, Charlie with the wide leg pants. Okay, we're done there. I didn't want to rush. Sometimes I rush. We don't get to see all the outfits, but that's what we got. Another busy day on NESN, everyone. The Red Sox and the Yankees are starting now on NESN Plus, and keep it here on NESN for the Bruins all night long. As always, stream both on NESN 360, and just reminding you guys what the schedule looks like. So shifting back at home, the games highlighted in yellow are obviously going to be at TD Garden. Remember, Sunday is going to be an afternoon tilt. That's going to be so exciting. We know we need a Game 5, and then the rest are going to be TBD, depending on how today and the other games play out. With that, we're going to bring you into our Wasabi Garden studio. Reminder, our pre-game show starts an hour before puck drop every game. This is Bruins Faceoff Live, presented by Plymouth Rock, auto and home insurance for Boston sports fans. Billy and Barry. Barry, welcome back. We had Razor on at the desk. He's going to be in the booth, a 3-man booth today. But Barry, why don't we get your thoughts then to open up the show on the last few games for the Bruins? Everyone knows about those 4 unanswered goals. Otherwise, a pretty solid first game, according to Marco Sturm. And then they got it done. They played a full 60 in the second. Yeah,
they played 40 for sure, and then kind of hung on a little bit toward the end, and we're going to talk about those third periods a little bit later. But to me, they got what they wanted, which was a split, Billy. And what I was very impressed with was how they recovered into Game 2 and were able to stay mentally engaged and not kind of let that first game wear on them. They've had good starts, obviously great goaltending, and good specialty teams. So good for them. However, it's only tied 1-1. They won one game on the road. Now they got the advantage, and they got to win at home.
Yeah, and momentum probably doesn't carry from game to game. You hope little things carry. Yep. But if it did, then Buffalo would have won Game 2, right? Because, the Bruins got absolutely smacked down, right? No, they respond. And I think the resilient word, or the word of the Bruins season has been resilient. Yes. And so, therefore, should it surprise us that they came back like they did to win Game 2. And I don't mean come back in the game, meaning overall to win the whole game. Maybe not. Maybe we should trust them and say, hey, they're going to be all right. Now, with all that said, okay, that's great. Game 2. Game 3 can be totally different. I mean, it's totally different. Now, they're all jacked up. The guys are all excited. A lot of guys haven't played a playoff game here. Whether it's a guy like Arvidsson or Kastlik, and they can't wait. I'm excited, and I've been here for how many playoff games? Seriously, I might jump up and down like Swayman does, in the warm-up there. If I wasn't afraid to rip my pants doing that, I might do that.
I know you'll be yelling. That's a guarantee.
Oh, I just can't wait. And we hear Audio Slave, assuming it's Audio Slave, the song coming when they get on the ice. Can't wait for it. You said it. Perfect day outside for playoff hockey.
It actually feels like playoff weather for a change around here. Where's it been?
Yes.
Man.
I don't know. You're the weather guy.
Wow,
Where has it been?
You know what? Why don't we move on from weather? Let's shift. So lots of things that make a team successful regular season, postseason. We're going to go over some of the big ones. And I know some of these are cliches, but pucks on net. How about that? Okay? Positive for the Bruins.
Well, do you remember the practice, guys, before the Bruins left for Buffalo? Marco Sturm stopped practice and talked about being more direct and getting the pucks on net. And the Bruins are not what I would call a heavy shot volume team, Barry. That doesn't mean they're adverse to doing it, but at times, they haven't broken the puck out well. We'll talk about that too. But here in the second game, they were more determined in that first period to get as much on net, in particular off of a lot of face-off wins in the own zone. We're showing you opportunities based off breakouts and then getting in it, but even shots from there. Test out whoever's in net. And here are the breakouts that were much better.
Yeah, and of course they all start with the face-offs. The Bruins were dominating, especially those first 2 periods in the face-offs. We'll talk a little bit more about that later too. But those good breakouts start, Billy, that gets a team like Buffalo, that has exceptionally good defensemen rushing the puck. It gets them backing up. It gets them on their heels. You want their defenseman like Byron here, number 4, who has been very impressive to me those first 2 games. You want him to turn his back, go back and pick it up. Here you're going through the neutral zone with some speed. Now all of a sudden you get your forechecking game. But it all starts with the puck support, tape-to-tape passes, and being more intense. And to me, that was the whole key.
And then blocks. This to me is about having the cojones, the gumption, whatever term you want to use, to just do it. And Charlie McAvoy was excellent. So was Aspro and Hampus. That was a beautiful block there by Peak on the PK. But overall, those 2 guys, so the Bruins outblocked the Buffalo Sabres 27-10. McAvoy, Hampus, and Aspro combined for 14 of those. And Charlie had 2, you could argue, the 2 biggest ones in the game, especially one on the PK. It was just tremendous. The way that the guys willing to sacrifice their bodies. I thought their spacing was excellent. Yep. Their reads were great. They weren't too deep on top of their goaltender. All good stuff. Those things, you put them all together, usually leads to success, and it did the other night.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we saw the other night, too, was after face-offs, because Swayman was able to see the puck a little bit better because the defense were blocking out, or they were blocking the shots like you just showed. After the whistle went, what was he doing? Tapping the D, say, hey, good job, guys, thanks. You allowed me to see the puck. You controlled things. If he sees it, he's going to save it.
All right, one of the themes that has started since before the season, the series even started, is physicality. Who's the bigger team? Marco Sturm addressed that, and it turned up several notches from Game 1 to Game 2. 32 hits by the Bruins, 62 total, so pretty even by the Sabres. 94 penalties in minutes, 47 each.
Yeah, but I thought it was a situation where the Bruins, led by the Zaka line, were much more involved, more intense, more relentless, more physically involved, Billy, than they were in Game 1. It was a situation, I thought they were a little bit passive in Game 1, but that was a cheap shot there in front. Arvidsson, they could have got a double minor there, partner, instead of just a single. But, you know, when you have the puck, you're going to get hit in the game. And it's a situation, this is playoffs. Nobody wants to give an inch. The important part is you got to play hard, you got to play physical, but you got to be smart and stay out of the box.
See, yeah, no question about it. I thought in Game 1, Soph and Barry, I thought Buffalo's physical presence or physicality was really good. Mm-hmm. They got after it, to their credit, especially on forecheck. I love this part, and I'll get to the Bruins in a second here, but this was later in the game after all that kerfuffle and stuff when Jordan Greenway and Josh Dunn, Jeannot he's like, I'm here, guys. You think you're tough? I'm here. He's not challenged. He's saying, I'm here if you're like, wanting to. Go ahead. I'm ready. Right. And neither one of them, they didn't even, they didn't look at him hardly. The bench
would
hardly.
You?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't. But they're out there on the ice, and Dunn, by the way, Dunn's not going to play tonight.
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about the lineup changes.
Yeah, I know, but it's relevant to say here. He's not going to play, and I don't know. I think that may have had something to do with it, because there's that opportunity to say, we're getting our butts kicked or whatever. Let's go against the biggest guy, the baddest guy. Take one for the team type of thing. And they didn't, and those guys changed. But second, the other point I want to make, and then in the Game 2, the Bruins' physicality was right. They did it in the right way. They put Buffalo back on their heels with better forecheck, et cetera. And so each team has had one game doing it.
Yeah, and to your point about going over and challenging and say, I'm here, because if the roles were reversed, as we saw all season long, he's going to go there and try and get in a physical altercation to try and get his team back in the game. So he's going over to Buffalo and say, hey, boys, if I was in your place, this is what I would do, and I'm here. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Alex
tremendous
Lyon
theater.
Him a little.
Alex Lyon knows that he's not going to have to fight Tanner Jeannot.
Right.
I'd have some guts, too.
Yeah.
I do give the kid credit, though. He's a Yale kid. He's smart.
We'll talk about that and possible changes a little later on. But first, let's start with the Bruins' regular season record at home. Mentioned it off the top. Second best in the NHL, just behind the Avs by one loss. But 29-11-1, and these are the numbers at home. It's been such a pleasant, fun, exciting environment at TD Garden. The Bruins have said so many times in the regular season how much they love playing here. They had that streak going on for a while, with more on bringing the series back. Or not back, it's at the Garden, and playoffs being back at TD Garden. And it just took one season to do that. Here's Adam Pellerin ringside. So the boys are glad to be back in Boston.
Well, Sophia, first, I want to take it back to Buffalo, right? We all saw the scene there. They hadn't been in the playoffs in 15 years. The crowd was electric. Bruins did a good job of taking the crowd out at times in Buffalo. But there was that sort of, wow, we're back in the playoffs feel. Here in Boston, it's much different. It's an annual event with the exception of last year. So I think what you'll feel tonight is an appreciation for being back in the postseason. Players are excited for it. Marco Sturm's excited for it. But the head coach, David Pastrnak, they understand there's a fine line between feeding off that energy and also keeping your emotions in check.
We love playing at home. We love playing in front of our crowd. And the biggest thing for us, we don't want to change any of our style of play. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. We want to be, play Bruins hockey, but also kind of stay in control a little bit and keep our emotions under control, so we can stick with our game plan.
Yeah, obviously super pumped, excited to be back home in our building, and can't wait to hear the crowd and the atmosphere. At the end, it doesn't change. We have to play our game. We have to focus on us, and we know what gives us success. So we just have to be ready for tonight. We're gonna see probably their best, and we have to be ready for it.
And Billy, I heard you talking about this earlier. You had 5 players making their playoff debut in Buffalo. Well, you have an additional 5 tonight. They'll be playing at TD Garden for the first time in the playoffs. And so that includes Tanner Jeannot, who we'll talk to a little bit later. But you know what, guys? We've seen this in the Stanley Cup playoffs before, right? Home ice advantage. Well, so far in the playoffs, 9 wins for the home team, 9 wins for the away team, 5 wins in the East, 4 wins in the West. So that's how it works out sometimes.
Hey, Adam, didn't you think this year, I thought the fans were so important here at home because of the craziness of that schedule? It was difficult for some teams. You're coming home off the road, and it's like, you got 4 games in 6 nights, 2 and 3. And the fans pulled this team through a lot of victories.
And you heard Marco Sturm talk about that throughout the season, how much the fans were a factor here at TD Garden. And I think it also goes back, guys, to the fact that Don Sweeney and Cam Neely, they said in their introductory press conference to start the season, they wanted this team to be hard to play against. And with that schedule, coming here to TD Garden, coming against this Bruins team, no easy task. And you could see in the success they had at home this year.
Yep, and the way they throw those hits and the bodies makes the crowd cheer even more.